I'm Yael Tygiel for The Beat. We are talking to the cast of Marvel's Runaways on Hulu. I'm getting the answers to all the ship questions. Let's check it out.
Where's the line? The line that you won't cross.
I release you, Nico, from your fear.
This is survival.
I know that shippers have a lot of thoughts about Chase. How do you feel?
Bad things?
I think a lot of them feel betrayed, as does Gert. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with Gert and Chase?
Well, now they're not on my side, so now I've got to really pitch this. I think Chase is a wonderful character. No, I'm kidding.
Win them over.
Yeah. No, to be honest, fans won't be disappointed. The shippers will not be disappointed this season. Working with Ariela's lovely, and Chase and Gert, I think, always love each other. And of course, there's moments where the love I don't think their love ever fades. I think sometimes it gets complicated, but I don't think their love ever fades. So you'll see throughout season 3, little spoiler, fine, no one's looking. You'll see Chase deal with potentially a new energy. I don't know what that energy is. I can't tell you what that energy is, but a new energy amongst their relationship.
I'm really excited to see what happens when she gets back to our team and we have to deal with her and Chase because the shippers are shippers.
Yeah.
And so what can you tell us about that relationship?
Well, Chase is in a tube, so it's interesting because there is, his what's going on in his head. You get to see play it out, but also a lot of work has to be done after the betrayal of last season. And where do you find the time for that when you're fighting aliens and Morgan Le Fay and all of that? So it's a slow burn.
It's definitely a bit of a love triangle. It gets resolved, but I'm not going to say how or who she ends up with, so you guys will have to watch.
How quickly does it get resolved? I'm very impatient and get very concerned.
It's a while. It's a little while, so it's a little bit of a wait.
Okay. Good to know. How much of a grudge holder is she?
Gert's a grudge holder.
Right. A woman after my own heart.
Yeah, he deeply wronged her. And I wouldn't even say she's that much of a grudge holder because, he was also mean to her in high school and she looked past that. But he wronged her. So there is some work to be done.
The shippers are very, very nervous. We've got a love triangle going on. What can you tell us?
Zavin needs to get out. That's what I think. But I think Zavin, we all learned that we need Zavin just as much as she needs Karolina and all of us, and we learned to work together. And I think it's really lovely to see that. You put your differences aside, and I think Zavin and Nico come to a conclusion of we both love Karolina, and that's not a bad thing. If it means protecting the one that you love, then that's a good thing.
Last we saw Karolina, she was kidnapped, and how long will she be kidnapped in the new season?
I can tell you I spent way too much time in that tube. We call them tube days, and tube days were not fun, and we were there for way too long.
In the tube, you're wearing very little, I would
Very
say.
cold, yes.
Can you tell me about what it's like having to essentially be frozen while acting is happening around you?
Yeah, it's tough, especially because something about the way the glass is shaped, it really throws you off. So you're sitting there, and as soon as you have to close your eyes, you just want to start rocking back and forth. So I don't think Gregg and I have ever bonded so much, just spending 12 hours in these tubes, staring at each other all day.
Let's talk about the new season. I feel like Chase has had the most, internal turmoil. He's trying to deal with his new family and his old family, and he's been going back and forth. What can we look forward to in the 3rd season with his family?
Well, exactly. I think you're going to see more turmoil. It's a TV show. We will drag this out as long as possible. But you'll definitely see more turmoil. You'll also see potentially some lovely relationships that Chase develops throughout season 3, because at the end of season 2, his betrayal has impacted the group, and so he has a lot to. He's got to basically to figure out a way to get the team and everybody else back on, Team Chase, and so he's got some sucking up to do.
What part of the found family are you most excited about us seeing you connect with them this season?
The found family, you mean by the Runaways?
Yeah.
I I mean, when they're being just kids and just hanging out and they take a break from that, when they're taking a break from being superheroes and taking a break from all the dark, heavy drama, I think the last episode is one of my favorite scenes because they're sitting, I'm not spoiling what happens, but they're all sitting down on the steps and we were just being kids and joking around, goofing on, and I found that so endearing and it just reminded me how my friends and I hang out, and it was my favorite scene of the season.
Last we saw, she was kidnapped.
Yeah.
But based on everything we know, I don't foresee that sticking with Gert. I foresee her getting out.
I mean, she definitely has a little adventure with Dale. She is learning about Old Lace. She has Old Lace with her. She kind of unlocks a new level of her powers, which is exciting. And maybe that helps her get out. I don't know.
What have you learned from Gert?
As a man, I mean, look, I mean, she's a very smart lady. She's a very passionate feminist. So naturally, as an actor and as a human being, it's been great for me to educate myself and learn as a young man in today's society. No, truly, like, you know, it's.
This is wonderful. I'm so happy.
Yeah, no, it's a cool. That's one of the great things about playing this character and being in this TV romance is the fact that I've actually got to educate myself. And I think, look, basically, I think a lot of problems in the world could be solved if education was improved and ignorance was decreased, basically. So for me, that's exactly, hopefully I've become less ignorant and more educated.
I was talking earlier to the rest of the cast about how Gert really teaches everyone a lot about feminism and society and the real world that they seem to not be aware of. How much have you learned from playing Gert?
I think what I've learned from Gert isn't so much what we read on this page. I think I've learned a lot just from the fans. I love the fan base that has formed around Gert and just the people that I see interacting and have formed a community. I think I learn a lot from them, which is sometimes weird because I'm older than a lot of them, but it's lovely. And I love learning, like, I think they're like the younger generation than me. No, I think we might be the same generation, but it's like I'm learning about more current, updated things, and it's nice. I like them a lot.
We have a lot of really amazing women on this show specifically, really powerful women. I also
number one right here.
Yeah, I also love that we have these powerful women bossing around our men. Can we talk about the idea or the decision to make that really prominent in the show?
I think they made the decision themselves. But yeah, no, that's kind of in the comic as well, is that the girls definitely were a little bit further along in their journeys than the guys were, perhaps in need of some leadership, and that definitely, if it's not saying too much, probably reflects some of the cast dynamics as well.
I'm not going to comment on that, but it's also part of it was in the comic. It was Brian's comic, even though it came out so long ago in 2003. I don't know if you remember the aughts, but
I don't.
He was already writing these just really strong, smart female characters. He was very that were kind of progressive and trying to take down the patriarchal paradigm back then. So we wanted to do justice.
Without telling us anything actually about it, how quickly do we get answers about the Morgan Le Fay situation?
Like answers as to who she is.
What she wants, yeah.
There's a little bit of like a cat and mouse play there happening for a bit. I mean, I can't say too much, but we'll see Morgan Le Fay at her fullest scale, I think. And Nico as well, so.
Ooh. In Runaways, we have so much going on. We've got a witch, we've got aliens, we've got tech, we've got a dinosaur that is psychically linked to a teenage girl.
True.
What made you think in season 3 we also want to bring in Morgan Le Fay?
I mean, if you have the opportunity to have Elizabeth Hurley on your show, you take that opportunity.
Sure.
No, we love magic is in the core DNA of the show, in terms of the comic book that Brian and Adrian wrote. So we really did want this year to make sure that we were mixing all those genres together and that we weren't only living in the alien tech world. As Jeph likes to say, magic is just science we don't understand.
It's magic. But also our kids, our relationship with the kids and the parents had evolved to a certain place. We needed a new formidable foe that could kind of wreak havoc and challenge our kids in new ways.
Does that mean that the parents will be less involved this season?
No, it just means that as much as you may hate your parents as a teenager, sometimes you need your parents. And so the arrival of Morgan Le Fay might cause our kids to look at their parents a little differently.
Does that mean that our parents might be reuniting with our kids this season?
A lot's going to happen with our parents. Not everybody's surviving this year. And certain dynamics are going to change and have evolved from where we started.
When you go back and look at season 1 and you look at how just they could barely even get along, much less know what to do with each other. Chase was this sort of dumb jock and who quoted his coach and is now and would never be seen with someone like Gerd, and now their relationship is going through the struggles of a real young couple that's trying to figure it out, and how different they are, and yet how they're trying to make it work. Nico has now come across this ability that may or may not be able to actually control. Alex is always dealing with the issues of being the team leader that nobody listens to, and what that's like. And then we've seen all last season that Ginny, the Karolina, was somebody that was sort of kind of a goddess, for anything, a religious spearhead, and what that does to her, and what that does to her and her family, and so I think that's the beauty of the show is that each of our characters in some way touches the audience in a different way, and so I think that's why the show is as popular as it is.
Can I ask how many deaths or are people not surviving?
You can never ask. You never ask someone their age, their weight, or how many deaths on their show that season. Come on, everybody knows that.
Thanks for joining us as we talk to Marvel's Runaways here at New York Comic Con. I got you the answers about the ships in season 3. You're welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe. This is The Beat, and we're just getting started.